Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Damn Parenting, your English-speaking parenting podcast from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. As always, we are your hosts, Eva and
Maren.
And it's the first Monday of December, so we're getting into, are we allowed to say Christmas yet, or do we still have to keep with Sinterklaas, actually, now that I think of it?
Still Sinterklaas, I guess.
It is. For another couple
and
of
as
days.
we're all not Dutch on this episode, yes, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
I know. Just don't tell the husband. We are getting into the festive season, as today is another book club. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello.
DamGoode Bookclub. And today we're doing a book club. Was it recommended by your sister or?
My sister-in-law read it last Christmas, 2 Christmas ago, I can't remember, and it came up in matrescence. So that is what made me think of it, because she mentioned the series when we read that book.
Okay. I don't see the link between the matrescence and this book is the only honest thing. This is a completely different approach to the book club because previously we've been looking quite at research and at psychology, and this is actually a novel. And because it's Christmas, let's not get too heavy. Let's just enjoy ourselves. And Elizabeth really wanted to crack this one out and kind of get into just read another mom's story, I guess is how it would be. And I'm sure many moms are going to understand the flight of Ellen in this story. So let's kick off. So first of all, it's called Why Mummy Drinks at Christmas Time, and it's by author Gill Sims. And so do you want to take it away, Elizabeth?
Yeah, so she is a parenting blogger, and she's a UK author of this series, the Why Mummy Drink series. So there is a whole bunch of books in this series. This happens to be the Christmas one. So just to give readers who may not have read it a little quick synopsis, basically there's a frame device from December 1st until Christmas, and we kind of learn about all the former Christmases that are mentioned through flashbacks of various ages in the narrator Ellen's life. It kind of keeps the topic being Christmas without it ever stagnating on one specific Christmas. The problem this year in the storyline is that the kids are grown up and they don't want to come home for Christmas, which doesn't fit with the narrator's dreams of the best Christmas ever and her festive vision. So I kind of felt like that was the theme for the book, right? Is this idea of the festive vision, how we all imagine that Christmas is going to go and how it never actually aligns to that, right? So
don't say that to me yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So all these flashbacks look at these different Christmases where things did not go. So she is a humorous writer. So this book is meant to be funny. We're supposed to read it in that sort of tongue in cheek. She's kind of over the top, the title Why Mummy Drinks. It's not supposed to be a very serious story. That being said, it doesn't mean it's everyone's taste. So my first question to you guys is, how did you enjoy the narrator and her dreams of her festive vision?
Well, I usually only, if I read novels and fiction, I read crime and the vicious murders, and the more gruesome, the better. So that was a light refresh, and I felt it was like a breeze, and I thought I can let myself go down this joy road. So it was fine. I wouldn't necessarily picked it up if I wouldn't have to have picked it up for the book club. Let's put it that way. However, I can see it's easy digestible, it's easy readable. It's not like you have to sit down and totally invest yourself in it. You can really read it on the playground, on whatever, when their kids are doing bath time. You can read it on the go, whatever. When you put on Spotify, put on Morning Soul, and then you just listen to some random music in the background. This is how I felt with the book. It's like it has a right to exist, but the world would also be okay if it doesn't. Let's put it that way.
Whoa.
I have I call my downstairs books, which are books that I can read while Eloise is playing because they're just, and so this would definitely be like a downstairs book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the white noise kind of in the background. This is like the book. Having said that, when you are having a day and you just want to click out a little bit, then it's a good read. So I think it does have a right to be there. And I think I would also recommend it for this specific purpose. And I can also see it as a gift for someone where you're like, all right, I want to give this person something, but I'm not super close to them, but I can give this to them. And at the same time, it's a nice read. So this is like a good thing to give to someone, I think.
Yeah. And Eva, you had similar.
Well, yes. As I said, our book club is different this time because I'm used to all the research in psychology, which is kind of my preference, is the other way to put it. And I'm going to place my problem on ADHD because I struggle to read the book, full stop. Squirrel, washing, child, cat, whatever it was, I was like putting down the book and going, here's my next excuse, I guess. It's just not my forte, but it is easy to read. It's simple, obviously, because it's not research words and terminologies and having to look for stuff. But actually, I am gifting this to someone. I shouldn't even know if I should say this, but I am actually gifting this to someone because I know it's definitely much down their alleyway when it comes to this kind of style.
There you go. So my next question, so it wasn't a book necessarily for us like that we would have dipped into, without this, right? But the themes that come up in the book, have you had similar Christmases or holidays, whatever you celebrate, with in-laws and siblings with their demands, and how did you deal with them?
Yes, I did. Well, I mean, the first time we did Christmas with my husband's family, they're Americans. So I was very excited to dive into their Christmas traditions because you have this picture of, oh, this is how Christmas is in the US. And then you go there. And then I knew that they will have the big shebang. So I was very excited to experience this, but then also seeing the different family dynamics and like seeing the underlying layer of the whole, oh, hey, this is like the stage that we put up. And then what are the different things that are going on throughout the day? So I definitely could relate to, the different layers of what do we see and what's happening in the background and what do we have to put up to get here, to put it that way. Yeah.
Orange juice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
This is a word that our Maren has told us previously on the podcast a long time ago, that this is a secret word that they use in their family. Yes. This is the code word to escape the room in the in-laws.
Yeah, we had banana bread, so they go well together.
Oh. So, wow.
I said to my husband, okay, we need to like get a code word. If something is like completely overwhelming, we need to get away. Then we'll just, let me check if there's still some orange juice. And then we just made our way out. So orange juice is our code word.
I feel like if this author had one, it would be Bailey's, right? So she sneaks off to the garage to drink Bailey's when everything starts going really bad.
That thing can be stored anywhere. That's the good thing about Bailey's.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you can sneak it in your coffee. You can,
your cornflakes.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, so I'm going to my brother's this year for Christmas. We switch off between my family and his family. And our family lives in Europe now, so we're not traveling far. So I just showed you guys my stack of boxes that are all Christmas presents in the background. And, I'm trying to keep these traditions. So, like, I bought a whole bunch of pajamas because that, for me as a kid, we would do pajamas on New Year's Eve, or Christmas Eve, sorry, for the next day. And so I wanted to keep that tradition, but I felt bad if I didn't have some for everybody, right? But then you have to think about the sensibilities. Yeah, it was not I can see Eva's face. It was not
sorry, I'm just already like, oh.
But, it's also because, and then I commend my brother for this, and I want to follow these things. He works in climate change. And so I also had to find pajamas that were not using plastic in the fabric. I had to make sure they were bamboo. So think like no one wanted the matching pajamas. So I actually had to find pajamas at this season that like didn't match. So it's funny because it's like we're doing this because it's an important tradition for me. I didn't just want to give my daughter like pajamas and not have his son have some, and things like that. And at the same time, it creates these headaches that you're like, this isn't a headache that needs to be a headache, but I'm going to do it because it's important to me. So that is going to bring me to like my next question, which is, so her whole thing in this book is this festive vision. And you right away, it's a joke when you read like the first chapter because you're like, oh my God, okay, lady, like she's just so overwhelmed with this idea of how Christmas is going to be and how everyone is failing her in it. So I'm just curious, do you all have your version of a festive vision? And what does that entail? Like what to you is the holiday season in your family?
The most important thing for me, so first of all, it's so different now that when you are a parent and you have your first Christmas as your family, and then you're like, so what is our Christmas going to be like? Because I have my Christmas from my family, my husband has his Christmas, and then where are we finding, like, what are we doing as the family now? And the first thing that I learned, which was very different, so in my family, we would get the Christmas tree on the 23rd, we put it out on the 24th and decorate. This was like a big part of the 24th where my mom was in the kitchen and we as the kids and my dad would decorate the Christmas tree. Then we get for cake and all that. And then we do the dinner in the evening. And my husband was like at the last week of November, he said, oh yes, the next week we're going to set up the Christmas tree. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like what? Why? And he's like, well, it's the 1st of December. I'm like, yeah. And when did we set up the Christmas tree? On the 23rd. And he's like, no. So this was the first time when we set up the Christmas tree earlier and I got to enjoy it. I was like, this is great. So you really get to enjoy the Christmas tree the whole festive season. And then, but one thing that is very important to me that I have real candles on a Christmas tree.
Oh, wow.
That's what we had growing up. Even with 4 children, 2 big Doberman dogs, we always
and
had
16
real candles.
fires.
No, and luckily never anything happened. But this was one thing where I said, I want real candles. And now we have both. We have the artificial, like what's it called? The
Christmas
string.
lights.
Yeah, Christmas lights tucked into the branches. So we have them on during the night and in the evening. But then we also have the real candles then for Christmas Eve. Because that was one thing where I said, this is so important to me because this is the essence of Christmas to me, real candles on the tree.
Mhm.
That was the big thing.
Wow. And Eva, what about you? What's your festive vision? What stands out?
Well, exactly like that. And having your child and you're like, oh, what does it mean? And I'm married to a Dutch man. Christmas doesn't mean much to him and he works. So that's the reality. It's been a case of there's this combative thing. Like I said at the start of this is like, oh, it's Christmas season. Then I went, oh, it's Sinterklaas still, because I'm not allowed to do anything until the 6th of December. There's not a Christmas thing, notion, word allowed to be mentioned until the 6th of December. And it's actually only in the last couple of days we actually spoke about it. And I then understood. He's like, it's only until she's probably going to be about 7 when she realizes, make sure there's no kids listening, but Sinterklaas isn't actually a real thing. Or person. He is a real thing, but like, you know, it's an idea. So he's like, you know, let's just have this for a few years. So I'm kind of like, oh, okay. Because I want to shout out to a couple of friends of mine back home in Ireland, Jennifer, who tends to put up a tree in October and she decorates it for Halloween. And then she swaps it in November to the whole Christmas tradition. And a shout out to Susan, who just like in middle of November, she bought a giant dinosaur holding a gift balloon to put up outside her already lit balcony. Yes, Christmas is very important to us from Ireland, and we love to get into the festive season because we are so miserable with the weather. So yes, we want to start as soon as possible. So yes, my mouth fell open when Maren said December the 23rd and 24th. No, let's start that on the 1st of November and continue that until Little Christmas, which is on the 6th of January when you take down your decorations. This is the rule. This is a complete rule. But for now, I'm abiding by our Dutch-Irish tradition, and I'm saying, okay, we'll do the whole Sinterklaas. So December 6th, this house is changing. She'll go to sleep on December 5th, having opened up her Christmas or her Sinterklaas presents, and quick change around December 6th. It's going to be like, now it's Christmas. Yeah. He's off. He's gone. Bye-bye. Now it's Santa.
Yeah. So last year was our first Sinterklaas, right? So my child that was her first year. And we went to a Sinterklaas party at my husband's work. And I had her in her like Christmas outfits because that's what I bought. Like, I'm going to buy her Christmas outfits. Like, I didn't know about the Pete costumes and the Sinterklaas costumes. And so we come and she's wearing this like Rudolph jumper and Sinterklaas, when she came up for her picture with him and to get her present, he was very like, I am not Santa Claus. I am not Santa Claus. And this is Santa Claus. Like, you just need to know we are Sinterklaas and they are not the same. So that was our first lesson in how,
slam dunk.
That should not, like, you are not to compare the two. They are not the same person. They are not the same holiday. So I keep forgetting I need to go find a secondhand Pete costume for the party this year.
Just a hat.
Yeah, just a hat. That's all I want. But if you guys have one, let me know. But
we've 3.
There you go. Okay. But that was a shock to me. And then also, so we're, because I'm American, so we have Thanksgiving in between Halloween and Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. And we still celebrate it here. Like, it's one of my favorite holidays. So we're having some people come from out of town to celebrate with us Americans. And my rule is you don't get the Christmas tree until after Thanksgiving. The day after Thanksgiving is when Christmas season starts for me. But this year I broke down and I ordered a tree for November 28th, which is Thanksgiving, but we're not celebrating until Saturday. So I broke my own rule this year, but I feel like I needed to do it.
Rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
And one thing now that I'm noticing this is also one very big thing in the German Christmas culture is the Advent calendar. Mm-hmm. So you feel like from the 1st of December till the 24th. And this was also one thing that my husband had heard of, but then he also, of course, didn't know the depth that you can go into this. And
he hadn't heard it before?
Well, he had heard it. Yeah. He had heard it. He was like, Advent calendar. Yeah, I've heard the word, but like, what's like, is it just like, what is it? And I said, well, And
It's chocolate,
all,
number
you
one.
well, first of all, you don't buy a like you do it
You do it
yourself.
yourself. Yeah.
So yeah, so this is like the whole, and I have like 3 different ones from my childhood. I have my own one, which my mom refilled. I have another one. And so we'll have a couple of those hanging around. And this is also a very big thing for the Christmas season. Cause I remember as a child, you get up in the morning, like, okay, what's the next door? What's behind it? What's in it? And this is, one thing that I also have started here last year when my daughter was old enough to realize the countdown to Christmas. And this is also a big thing here.
So that brings me back to the story. My last question is, they're all interconnected, but they have the main character and her sister have this great Christmas with their grandmother when they're young, right? So it's what they mark all Christmases by. It was the most magical Christmas, and they have this jar of beetroot. So they don't eat the beetroot, but every year they bring out the jar of beetroot and put it on the table, and it's just the very specific family tradition for this narrator, because of this one magical Christmas. So again, with this festive vision, like it sounds like you have your 3 advent calendars from when you were a kid, like these little things that like we think about, like our kids are going to take our things and they're going to have them. So what are these very specific traditions for your family that just are going to happen no matter what every year? You've got the candles and
Food. For me, my husband he just is like, I don't get it, because I'll happily be in a kitchen for 3 or 4 hours making lunch. And I say a late dinner or a late lunch, early dinner, but like I will literally be in there and it's chicken, roast potatoes, Yorkshire pudding, parsnips and carrots and stuffing. And I mean, everything. And it's because the food to me is the moment where you sit down at a table, and it's not like Thanksgiving, but it's just that element of actually just being together and like being thankful for basically having food on our table and for actually being able to celebrate together, I think is how it really is for me. So the food thing is always like number one. Now, it used to be alcohol was the first thing in the morning. Not going to lie, that kind of knocked out the window, because it was always Baileys and cornflakes. That's a thing. Baileys and hot chocolate. That's a thing. Baileys is acceptable. But yeah, I think the other thing is for my daughter, I'm looking to get this Christmas decorations, a different one every year to represent something that year that happened that really stands out for us. So every year there'll be a different ornament. So by the time she might ever find an apartment in Amsterdam, if she's growing up, she'll be able to take these for her Christmas tree if she wants to. But yeah, the advent calendar is also something. But again, I'm struggling with this whole Santa Claus because I can't start it until December the 6th. And I'm thinking, how do I work this out? Is that day 1 or is that day So I'm still trying to calculate that part out.
I say you just do it. It's part of Christmas that goes.
Talk to the husband.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of like, I understand why he says, when he's like, just wait 6 days into the month. And I'm like, that's okay. Oh, and the other thing is stockings. Christmas stockings is also very important. Yeah, because that was something from my childhood that was always exciting, that you wake up and you immediately have access to chocolate. Mm-hmm. So you're like, great, this is my breakfast. Let me see what other small toys I have. So
yeah. Stockings are the same for my family. So I tasked, because I did the pajamas, I tasked my brother with stockings. I was like, we're going to you. You have to get the stocking stuffers. We will have them.
Do I can only imagine like Italian Rome stockers by your brother. And I'm like, all I can think of is truffle in my head. I'm going into olive oil and everything else, balsamic vinegar.
Yeah, he did say it would be food. I'm like, that's fine. There just has to be something in the
Absolutely.
I don't care what it is as long as we open
But
it.
the Italians have all these great little like bonbons and all these little like sweets. Yeah. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. And now we have these new traditions, right? So he's been living in Italy for like 6 or 7 years. And so we do the panettone for breakfast.
Oh, yes.
Which we never did as kids. We always had like a sweet cake. There would be that kind of bready cake. My mom would always do that. So we rolled that into the tradition, and that became the sweet cake. So we now even bring that to England with us. Like we'll buy one here and bring it to England, because it's like, we can't have Christmas without the panettone.
Wow.
Any other big Christmas things that have to happen?
Well, for me, it's also that, so in Germany, there's 2 sets of people. There's people who celebrate the 24th with a very big dinner. Mm-hmm. And then there's people who celebrate the 25th with a very big dinner. And they make a point of having a very light dinner on the 24th, which is usually potato salad and sausages. So I was already happy that my husband also celebrates the 24th as the big dinner. So that wasn't a big of an adjustment. And then in my
I was going to say
family,
to you, like, I would be the person who's like, who celebrates on the 24th? Because I'm going to them for dinner for the big dinner. And then I'm going to have my big dinner on the 25th as well. That's my plan in my head.
Yeah. And then one thing that in Germany, you do the presents on the 24th. But in my family, my mom, because they were both working full time, and she said, I don't have the time to do all this and I want calm. So we would do the 25th in the morning, the presents. And she also said, it's nicer for the children and they open the presents in the morning and then they can play all day instead of opening them in the evening and then they have to go to bed. So this wasn't an issue then with us here, where of course we are doing the presents also on the 25th. So this is
nice.
We still keep that tradition. And of course, Christmas cookies. We have to have Christmas cookies, baking and Christmas cookies.
Yeah. I was going to say, it is funny how contentious those two things that you brought up are. Like the 24th dinner versus the 25th, and the presents on the 24th or the 25th. It's like we're a morning of family too. And we would do like pizza on the 24th. You know, it's like, oh, we got to make the big dinner the next day. So like you got to just like order pizza on the 24th. But like everything for us was on the 25th, like that. That's what we had, the one present on the 24th, which was PJs. So, but you know, you meet people who do that and you're like, no.
Oh, no.
No. I'm sorry. We can't hang out. Like this relationship's not going to work.
Interesting. What do they call that, by the way, with the pajamas in the box? Is there like a phrase? Is it called a Christmas box or something in America? Or because apparently
like the Christmas Eve present is what we would call it in our family, but I don't know.
Because they were talking about like in October, there was people getting really angry about something called the Boo Box, which is where you have Halloween PJs, and people were like, "No, we're not going to be doing these stupid things. That's for Christmas only."
Yeah. Well, there's certain, and I love the new traditions that I refuse. Like I don't do Elf on the Shelf, and I'm sorry for people.
No. Yeah,
I didn't exist when I was little. Like,
exactly.
No.
Yes. I mean, it's a bit of fun, but the thing is, everything you ever read thereafter is people stressed out going, and then I had to get up and quickly throw that fecker onto the other side of the room. And, you know, and you're like, no, it's meant to be a joyous occasion. Yeah. It's not meant to be stressful chasing some little doll around. And literally, it's this book. It's the whole strive for perfection, for building up memories. But it's also that thing of you're overwhelmed, constantly trying to do these things for kids, and you don't have to do them, but you're putting them on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like, let's have what did she call the Fanny's low stress Christmas in the book? Like whatever it was, like let's have one of those, which wasn't actually low stress. Okay. Final question. And Eva, maybe you can field this one for us since you've kind of brought it up already, but since we are, you know, you guys are the expat blog, maybe you should do a quick cheat sheet on the difference between Santa Claus and Christmas.
Me? Yes. Really?
Yes.
The only thing
the expert here. You've got.
I'm not the expert. The only thing I get is like he lives in Spain. You know, I don't know why his helpers are called peas. So he lives in Spain.
Controversial too. Well,
the thing is, I say Pete and not the full name that he previously has. Yeah. And the thing is, he's in Spain. So mandarins are also a big thing that you'll always get. Paper notes, which apparently are happily thrown around everywhere and at us and on us. And I just don't understand that element of things. But I think it's just the sense that they have this strong connection with Spain, obviously because of the rulers from 500 years ago. And so it's a very strange connotation they have with them. But Santa Claus is this 3.5 week period where the children, and it's basically the naughty and nice list, except I believed it was on the nice, or you're on, I can't remember the Dutch word, but I think it's like a whip or a cane list was how it was phrased.
They get brought back to Spain, right? If they're bad, like thrown in a sack.
They could be put into the sack to be brought back as well. But I mean,
take me to Mallorca, please. Yes, I'm coming.
Papas.
I don't think so. But so it's so the thing for me is with Santa Claus, it's just meant to be a joyous thing for young children because they put their shoe out and they sing their songs. And oh my God, I apologize to my neighbors because my child is screaming these songs out loud any chance she can get. And the thing is, it's a case of, it's so similar to Santa that you leave a note. It's just the fact that with Santa Claus, you get to do it a lot more, leaving your shoes out. There's more. Right? It's not every night. Okay. Normally, like I say normally, in our family, we say you can leave it out once a week. Okay. Because it's just, you can't keep asking for stuff. It's like, no, you don't get that. So it's a case of once a week, you can put out your shoe and then she gives gifts. So check this out. twice she's now put out her shoe in 1 week. So she gives one of her chocolate bars to one of the Petes. She gives a can of Guinness to Papa Pete. She gives a carrot or an apple to Oso Snell. And I think she was giving some of her paper noting that she baked as well to Pete so they could try it to make sure it's okay. And then she has a drawing or whatever. And that's what she leaves at the door. And then in the morning, she got some glow sticks and a letter, and that was it kind of stuff. And she's like, oh, okay. And that's all that it is. And I think it's that whole excitement of I'm leaving something, and it's the excitement of, and she's awake. The minute she hears my door open, she runs outside going, can I look? And this is at like 6:30 in the morning. And I'm looking at her like, oh, how long have you been awake for, child? But she's so excited. And I'm like, and that's the whole thing for Christmas for me as well, is it's the excitement. So hence I'm trying to really get into Santa Claus to allow her to have that. It's just that whole fine balance of, okay, we're having this to Santa Claus. How do I now differentiate Santa? Because she was asking me as well, what are the helpers for Santa called? And I'm like, elves.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, elves. And are they big or small? And I'm like, oh, and do they live in Spain? And I'm like, no. And then she's 4, so she's got a lot more in her. So yeah, I'm trying to figure this out as well. It's hard, but I really want Christmas to be about memories, experiences, and family, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's instead of presents, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like presents can be part of it.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I had this discussion also yesterday with my daughter when they're now preparing all these, like the Santa Claus lists. And she's put this on, I put this, and I said, what's a wish list and not an order list? No, it's an order list. Okay, put this on it and I get it. I'm like, no. This is not how this works. So yeah, this is a very funny conversation.
By the way, as your kids are getting older, just to note, there's a ball.com magazine that's put into your letterbox. Hide it. The minute you see that, hide it before your children see it, because once they start seeing it, they're tearing it out saying, I want this, and this. And what's even funnier is you'll see in January, people are posting out on social platforms. Does anyone happen to have the ball.com? Because my kid really likes it. So it's this fine line of just a kid enjoying looking at all these toys and other ones who are like, I want this.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing with this catalog, I noticed when I first got it, I was like, okay, what is it? Some of the products, and I'm sure this is what the companies pay for, even have the dotted line to where the children can cut it out. And I thought, well, this is interesting. Okay.
Well, it's also to practice the dexterity of the children.
Right.
And they've removed the prices so that they just show it's €1 or €2 or €3. So it's cheap or expensive. So they remove the prices so the kids aren't aware. But I'm thinking, but they can see how many euro signs are on it. So
yeah, right. Yeah, they're smart.
They are.
Well, we'll keep this one short. I think Eva, your usual question, right? What would we all rate it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I went on Goodreads and I checked out their rating, so I'm interested to hear what both of you are thinking.
I mean, I give it a 3.5 for what it is. It was a humorous book, light Christmas read. It wasn't offensive. It, had some good parts, but it's not, like you said, it's not a book that I'm like, I have to read every book in the series, so.
And Maren?
I would also give it, I think I would give it a 4 because it did hit home. You read this, and as much as we can laugh about it or oh my God, she's so what is she stressing herself? And deep down, I'm like, yes, I relate because I stress about this as well. And I relate to her feelings. So it did secretly hit home. And I thought, yes, I feel the disappointment. I feel the joy. I feel I feel all of that, what the character is feeling, because I can relate to some extent. And I thought, yes, this is in a humorous way, it is interesting psychological written because it is. Yeah, the author puts out everything that we do carry, and it addresses mental load, and it does provoke a little conversation about, okay, how do we get here? Why is she feeling that way? Why is she feeling all this overwhelmed? Why does she think? And then she sees, where does she get her expectations from? Not just from her own family, but from social media. So it is a little deeper layer to it that you can interpret into it. So I thought, yes, it did hit home in a strange way. So I say I would give it a 4. Yes, it does have relevance.
I'm kind of torn because honestly, I was going for a 2.5, but that's only my own personal thing. But now that what you're saying, Maren, it is a case of, yes, it was the striving for perfection, because even though we're like, oh, you know, we want to have a perfect, we're starting off with this perfection, and come December 24th or 25th, we will be like, fuck this. Like, I'm done. Like, it didn't work out that way, or the turkey's burnt, or the faux turkey is like tasting like crap, or whatever it is. So there are the realities of striving for perfection and the overwhelmment of everything. And also the fact that not everyone is playing to what you want, you know, with the kids, the teenagers not wanting and ruining the guest chocolate or whatever it was, and the sister-in-law, you know, all these things you can't control over. So it's just making the best of what you can do. So I guess I'm going to bump it up to about a 3.5 generously, but it's just personally, that's just not I'm not a novel person. So, but I did see on Goodreads, it actually got 4.15 out of about 900 ratings. So, I mean, it is good for people who kind of like this thing, and it is super easy to read, and it's, you know, it's a bit of fun as well. So, I mean, it is probably a nice little stocking filler. As I said, I'm actually buying it for someone. So it is kind of a nice thing for someone who actually does like this kind of a book.
Yeah. And I would say, right, so the end of the book, as you can kind of assume the whole time you're reading it, is she lets go by the end, and she gets her big magical Christmas. Everybody does end up home, but it's nothing she planned, right? It's like chaos, but it ends up being great because of that. So I guess if we take that as a reminder, because I know I'm going to go in and be like, I want this to happen and this to happen and this to happen, and none of that is going to happen because I'm dealing with other people, and I always end up feeling bad because my expectations are out there. And so I think that's going to be my reminder going into this holiday season, is like, we can't control we can't control any of it. We can bring and do the things we can control, and then we have to let go after that, and hopefully it will be magical because of that chaos and not in spite of it. So that's what I'm going to take away from the book.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a reality check, I guess. And as much as we strive for perfection, it's really, you know, it's at the end of the day, you know, as Dr. Naomi used to go under the name, the good enough psychologist, you know, we just have to be good enough and have a good enough Christmas as well, where we set the expectations of experiences and family and enjoying these traditions.
Exactly. If we set them up, they'll be there, whether or not people, you know, appreciate them. But if we're always putting that advent calendar out, if we're always putting those stockings out, if we're always putting the shoe out for Sinterklaas, like, they become something. They become that tradition that we hope our kids will cherish, you know?
And I read something somewhere where basically someone wrote, you know, at the end of the day, do you remember what you got from Santa when you were 2, 4, 8, 12, 15? No, but what you do remember is the lights are on, the movies were on, you know, the parents are sitting down, the food was there, you know, guests will come over, you get to see other family members, you know, people made an effort. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is like my advent calendar is not full of toys or anything like that. It's actually experiences. Let's make paper noting together. Let's go to the light festival together. Let's, you know, those kind of things instead, to make it a fun experience and feeling more than the physical tangible gifts.
Yeah, definitely.
Very true. Well, thanks for checking in with us again on this light note. And if you want to support us, listener, you know what to do. You share and like this episode. You subscribe to all of our channels on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also, of course, on Instagram, where we have lots of additional information about all of our episodes. I think we can close this one off with a jingle bells, and hopefully you enjoy the festive season. Don't stress out so much. Take a deep breath and
enjoy Sinterklaas first.
Yeah. Remember that it's about the spirit, it's about the experience, it's about you showing up and you just being present, and however that might look like. And we'll hear you in the next episode.
Bye.